going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
She's got some.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube. We are live on YouTube, and today we are going to be breaking down the quarterback class with mainly people not named Caleb Williams, right? I think that us as Bears fans, we're enough of the Caleb Williams, Justin Fields debate. Today, I just want to talk about everybody else because I think something that's going overlooked is that this quarterback class is deep. This quarterback class is good, and I just recently watched the top 6 people, and that's why I just want to break this down. I want to have some fun because we have the civil war of Bears fans going on. I just want to enjoy and just talk a little bit about some of these quarterbacks. What's going on, Jay Grizz? Hope you're doing well, my friend. And today, like I said, I watched all the tape, watched multiple games of each one of these quarterbacks. So today, I'm excited. Also, Triple R's, how's it going, my friend? I haven't seen you in forever. I got to check out Sports Chicago Style. I'm actually going to screenshot that right now because I know that you haven't had a different name, but I got to keep that down. I'm jotting it down because I love the stuff that you have out there. So I'm excited to see you out there. But let's go in to these quarterbacks, shall we? Because there is something that I want to talk about, these quarterbacks, because it's kind of, this is like our third what if series, right? We had what if the Bears draft Caleb Williams? What if the Bears keep Justin Fields? And this is kind of the third one. I didn't want to make it official, but it kind of is. It's our third what if the Bears don't really like Caleb Williams and they don't really like Justin Fields. Like, they hate everybody and they just surprise everybody and they go with someone else. What would that look like? And that's why I wanted to look at these other players, because it is another, I like to look at every strategy the Bears could potentially do. And one strategy might be to draft a quarterback late. Is that a good idea? I don't know. Is that a bad idea? We don't know. That's why we're going to go through these quarterbacks, because quite frankly, this is one of the most deep class. This is one of the deepest classes we've ever seen. And it's not just me that thinks that. It's also when you look at the consensus big board. So I want to bring this up real quick. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. There we go. 6 total quarterbacks that are ranked in the top 32 according to NFL mock draft databases, NFL big board, the consensus big board that they have out there. The last time that we saw that was, I believe, all the way back in 2020. I believe it was either 2020 or 2018. It was the Sam Darnold class. So yeah, it was 2018. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the top 32, 6 in the top 48. So that was with Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Mason Rudolph. And what we'll talk about today is that there's a lot of people that remind us of some of those people in this class. And we already got Sports Style Chicago saying, I'd take Milton or a Nix. I actually have not ground the tape on Milton yet. I've seen good stuff out of him. But Nix, I'm glad we're on the same page, my friend, because Nix, spoiler alert, was very, very surprising to me. And for anyone that just rolled their eyes, you'll just have to wait until the breakdown. But let's go through the first person. This is regarded as the 6th ranked prospect, or the 6th quarterback overall, according to the consensus big board. That is a one J.J. McCarthy. So J.J. McCarthy is the 31st on the big board, quarterback number 6. My rank on him, I have him as QB 6 as well. He's projected to go in the 2nd round. He's the quarterback out of Michigan, junior, 6'3", 202. And to me, my comp for him, he reminds me of Jimmy G coming out, because Jimmy G was someone that you go, okay, he's got an NFL arm. He's got the NFL size. He's got all this stuff. But can he do it at the next level? And that's what you really see. His strength is these tools that he looks like a quarterback, right? He acts like a quarterback. And that's what you get out of a 2nd round prospect. And 2, when you look at his stats, 2,991 passing yards, 22 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Now, that ain't a lot. It's solid, but it isn't over the top great or over the top bad by any stretch of the imagination. He also has 80% adjusted completion percentage, which was fifth overall in the entire NCAA, which quite frankly is pretty freaking good, if you ask me. But something that really impressed me on tape was when he would drop back to pass. He could make those out route throws, which is something that you don't see with a lot of quarterbacks. I always think of Johnny Manziel when I think of the out route throw, where when he would throw it to the outside, it would be like a lame duck. It would be up in the air. It was this slow pass. McCarthy has the speed to be able to make those difficult passes. And under pressure, did surprisingly well and has some pretty darn good athleticism. But also, too, like yet again, we haven't really seen much. So it really is a big projection out there. And that's what I think is the big question mark with J.J. McCarthy, and where the draft process, I feel, is going to show a whole bunch. What's up, Joe? Nice to see you out there. But yeah, so then also, too, wasn't asked to do too much. And he also doesn't necessarily throw with too much anticipation. So when I see J.J. McCarthy, I like him. And that's where it's like, he's a second-round quarterback. He could be something good. He could be a solid contributor. He could be a good player. But also, too, he's kind of frail. He's 6'3", 202 pounds. That, not a lot of meat on the bones for a person at that size. Also, another fun fact, PFF grade, 90.8, which was 14th highest among quarterbacks, just in case if people were curious about that. So, J.J. McCarthy, let me know down below. What do you think of McCarthy? Do you like him? And part of this, too, is I want to talk about what if the Bears actually drafted him. This is going to be like a million what ifs, right? J.J. McCarthy, I think if the Bears wanted to draft him, I think that they would just wait until like the third, right? That 75th pick. Does he drop? Then you can pick him up as a backup quarterback option. I think that could be good if he ends up dropping, but I wouldn't reach for a J.J. McCarthy overall. He's got a lot of the talent. He's got a lot of the tools that you want, right? But does that mean he'll be great? That's where the coaching would then come in for sure. So let's keep this show going. And unapologetic truth, JJ says J.J. McCarthy will be good in the NFL. And then Joe saying, when you are a quarterback and a heavy run offense tool, you can't really show all your tools. Yeah, I think that's a very good point. And I think that's the big question with J.J. McCarthy, right? You have the arm, you have the ability, but are you able to? And I think that's where the pre-draft process is going to be huge. And I think J.J. McCarthy is one of those guys where I don't think people know where he's going to go, because I know some people are saying he's going to be a first-round quarterback. I've seen some ratings where he's like a top 10 player, a top 15 player. But is he that good? I don't really know. And actually, I'm looking at this right now. The highest he's out there is 20th from a big board perspective. But he might go higher depending on also where does Jim Harbaugh go? Because if Harbaugh goes there and he really likes him, what is he going to do? I think that he might, his money will be where his mouth is, and we'll see if he ends up going. But ultimately, to me, he's a second-round guy. Yeah, unapologetic truth agrees too. Yeah, I think overall that second round is where he'll go. So let's go down to the next quarterback on the list. And so the next person that people are talking about on the list is QB5, is Bo Nix. And we already kind of hinted at this. Bo Nix, the quarterback, he's the 29th overall person on the consensus big board. He is QB5, and to me, he's QB3. And I will back up every single word of that QB3. You just have to wait and see. And you also have to wait to see where I have the other quarterbacks as well. He's projected to go in the late first. He reminds me of Jalen Hurts. And a big reason why he reminds me of Jalen Hurts is he's not the tallest, 6'2", 217. And I remember when I was watching Jalen Hurts coming out of college, Jalen Hurts always threw it to the first read. He had an offense that was built around him that he always took the easy piece. Bo Nix did that. He had one of the highest screen passing rates. His pocket mobility is incredible. He's a very good very, very good pocket quarterback. And also, to anybody that is a Bo Nix hater, Forget the Auburn tape. He was not that good at Auburn, right? We all know this. Watch his Oregon tape. In that system, it looks like it clicked. He looked like he played well. Unapologetic Truth agrees. Yeah. Nix most pro-ready quarterback. Chicago style, sports Chicago style. It's going to give me a while to get that triple R's. Nix is a baller. I agree. So I'll be honest here. I went in thinking I was going to hate Bo Nix's tape because he's like a punchline in college football. I don't know why, but he is. And then I put on the tape. I'm like, holy crap, this guy's good. 4,450 yards, 45 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's first in adjusted completion percentage, 1% turnover play rate, which is second highest in the entire NCAA. This guy did not put the ball in harm's way. He played very well. He played the Oregon system to a T. Now, and then he has this great quick release, this short, medium range game. He's incredible. He keeps his eyes downfield. So when he's getting pressured, he was looking through, he was looking people off, and like he'd look someone off, like look the safety off, throw it down to a short read. It was great tape. But then I will say this, when you watch the games, there's a lot of RPOs. There's a lot of those simple passes, the screen passes that go out there. And there's a lot. There's a lot of that. But the thing that I think what gets me so excited about a Bo Nix is the stuff that's not that. And when you see what he's able to do, and he's got leadership capabilities, he's got the quickness, the speed that you want. And it really did seem like it clicked. Because Bo Nix, I believe the stat is he's played the most NCAA games of all time. And I know some people might point to this and go, he's old. We don't want Velus Jones out here. For a quarterback, I don't care. If a quarterback is old coming out and they're good, they'll play till they're 37. So if he's 24, I don't really care. While if it's a wide receiver, he's going to play until he's 30 if we're lucky. So that's the big difference to me. And it really did seem like Bo Nix turned the corner at Oregon and looked phenomenal. And that's why you see such a big disparity with Bo Nix. And just recently, he's projected to go 12th overall now to the Denver Broncos. And I believe Daniel Jeremiah had him going into the 12th overall just as a whole. So I think that's something that Bo Nix, like, really, really freaking like him. I think that's where I'm getting at, right? And I want to just kind of read some of these comments out here. Yeah, Nix, the one that has the wife and kids at home. I love it, Joe. Like, I mean, he probably would. And then Source and Summers stuff. Keep Justin around and draft a guy like this later in the rounds. That is actually something. If the Bears traded back and got Marvin Harrison Jr. and Bo Nix, I'd be the happiest man on earth. Like, and if Bo Nix dropped to the second round and they got him at like pick 34, if they traded down with the Patriots, my God, I would be a happy man. I think he's going to be good. The other flip side, though, is he does kind of remind me a little bit of Baker Mayfield, though, a little bit. That's where, like, he has some Baker Mayfield-y to him, where Baker's been playing well, but he's not a franchise guy. But on Unapologetic Truth saying, I believe the Bears will keep Justin and draft Nix as a safety net. It would be interesting to draft someone like that. And yeah, Nix has a stronger arm than T-Bag. Like, here's the thing. Bo Nix, to me, yeah, for Bagent, like, I think that he has a better arm than him, yes. And I think the deep ball, though, because I haven't talked about his bad side, because I feel like whenever someone talks about Bo Nix, and also if you watch, I was listening to more people that cover the draft, and they were all saying the same thing I am. They're like, Bo Nix surprised me. Holy crap, Bo Nix. The Bo Nix tape. Like, everyone that watches his tape goes, holy crap. But when you see him throw a deep ball, I don't know if he can throw it 40 yards. Like, and I mean that. I mean this as a Bo Nix fan. That is the thing that scares me, is when you look at what Shane Waldron is bringing, like, just saying hypothetically, if the Bears were to draft Bo Nix, if they drafted Bo Nix, I don't know if he can play that deep ball game. And that's where he's like an upgraded Tyson Bagent. He can read things really well. He has phenomenal short accuracy, mid accuracy. I think that's something that just very, very good. I actually have a first round grade on this quarterback, even though that some people say he's going in the second, going in the first. I think overall, someone is going to fall in love with the tape, just like how most draft pundits out there have fallen in love with his tape. That's why he's QB3 to me, because I think that he has such a good shot to being quickly the best quarterback out there, like week one, just because he's been in college since I went, 10 years ago. So I think that's where Bo Nix, he's very polished. He's a very, very polished player. And overall, I really like him. But let's go down to the next player. And also, I see that we got a lot of comments out there anyways, so I won't do the little let me know your thoughts. Let's go to the next person. This person seen as QB4. And this guy, it sounds bad because I have him at QB5. And it's like, oh my God, you must hate him. I don't. There's just a lot of really good quarterbacks, and he's typically QB4 or QB5, depending on where you are with Bo Nix. I'm higher on Bo Nix than most, and so that means that he goes down to 5. And that is Michael Penix Jr., the quarterback out of Washington, senior, 6'3", 213. I call BS. I don't think he's 213. He looks significantly bigger, but his strength. I feel like everybody watched Washington this year, but if you didn't, Michael Penix Jr. has this incredible, he just has this twitch, and it's just this fastball. The best thing is he has this insane fastball. He has the prettiest deep ball out of anybody in this draft. And that's where you see a Rome Odunze and Jalen Polk and all those other wide receivers he had really go off. This guy throws the best deep ball. And if we want to talk about people that could be scheme fits, if you want to talk about scheme fits for a team, I think that Michael Penix Jr. reminds me a lot of Geno Smith. And I think about what Waldron was doing over at the Seahawks. Michael Penix Jr. seems like just like Geno Smith. Big arm, talented, put up a lot of stats in the NCAA. The only thing is Geno is a lot more mobile. Michael Penix is a statue back there. He's I also kind of put a Josh Freeman, for those that remember him back in the day. Big arm, kind of statuesque in the pocket. But yeah, overall, he's the 26 overall prospect, QB4, QB5 for me, projected to kind of go in that late first round. I know he was getting a lot of hype when it was the college football playoffs, but now that that's kind of fizzled out, they're saying, okay, he's projected to go a little bit later. Yet again, another older prospect, but yet again, I'm not fazed by it. I'd rather have an older prospect that's more polished, that you can hopefully start day one, to be honest, if the Bears were to draft someone like this. PFF grade 91, which was the 11th highest. And last year, 4,907 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. In 2023 also, he was the first number one in deep yards and had a 2% turnover play rate, which was 14th. And when you're slinging it the way he does and throwing it deep, that is a very good stat to have. I mean, he did have 11 interceptions, but when you see the turnover play rate, how often did he put the ball in harm's way? The answer was not that much. So, where are some of the weaknesses? And the Red Baron out there, love the name. There we go. I feel like that's someone who's related to me, I got to say. But the Red Baron saying the injury potential scares me for Penix. I agree with that 100%. Penix has had 2 ACL surgeries. He had 2 shoulder surgeries. He's been banged up, but now he hasn't had any major injuries over the past couple of years. But still, ACLs are one of those that kind of sits out there for you for a while. So that's the thing that kind of concerns me about Michael Penix, is that the injury bugs, and you can kind of see that he's a guy that has had 2 knee injuries and 2 surgeries, because the guy is not moving around. And Bears Bone saying, I liked him until I saw him under pressure. That is concerning as a pro. That was the thing. When I saw Michael Penix, I was expecting that Michael Penix would be like my QB1. Or not QB1, but one of my top quarterbacks. I watch him and go, oh man, Bears draft him at 9, no brainer. Do that and I'll be happy. But then I put on the tape, and the thing that concerned me was, like under pressure a little bit. I still think he's a good processor. I think that that's very underrated in his game. But the thing I don't like, he throws like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite, which just turned 20 years old, just in case if anyone wants to know. So if there's people out there that don't know Uncle Rico, just it's the gif. It's the quarterback gif. Because sometimes he just like goes back and he kind of like hops and he just like kind of whips it, like throws it a little weird. I just think that his mechanics I don't necessarily like, but also he has this cannon. And I remember playing like Little League baseball and like like back in baseball when you had the one kid that always threw it as hard as he freaking could, even when you're like 2 feet away from him. That's Michael Penix. It feels like he doesn't know how to throw with touch and kind of adjust his throws to put it in the right spot. It's like he's got the fastball. If he's a pitcher, the dude is Nolan Ryan. He's just got the fastball. He doesn't have a changeup. He doesn't have a curve. He doesn't have anything like that. He just freaking whips it. And I think that's the big question for me is, can he change that up? Can he kind of adjust? But I say all these negative things as if I like hate him. He's a very talented quarterback. Like I said, he can go through his reads. He can make these big plays. He has the best deep ball accuracy out there, in my opinion. So that's my big piece. But also sports Chicago style, grabbing some Chicago style food out in the kitchen, listening there. Then also he will, truth saying, he will get hit by NFL players. How would he hold up with injuries? Oof, good point. Right? Good thing he's a big boy. But that's another piece about Michael Penix. I'm talking super negative on Penix, but Penix also doesn't really create outside of structure, outside of the pocket. I think he wins in the pocket, but outside of that, kind of difficult. King saying, an MFer in the kitchen like Triple R used to be back in the day. Oh yeah. But so that's my overall thought on Michael Penix. And I think if the Bears were to go after Michael Penix or get Michael Penix, yet again, I think this is where's the spot for that? I think ultimately where he would be if the Bears truly wanted to get him would be more so in the back of the first round if the Bears or in the early second round if they traded with New England or traded the 9th pick back and maybe got an early second or anything like that they pick up Michael Penix there. That would be where if they were to draft someone like that, that's kind of where I see him ideally going. But yet again, long offseason for us to be talking about some of these quarterbacks. So we already went through Bo Nix. Let's go over to the next quarterback. And I think these quarterbacks are where it gets very interesting. Jayden Daniels is the consensus QB3. He's the number 5 overall prospect. To me, bold take, I have him at QB4, right? And now that's an entire point away, but I love me some Bo Nix. And Jayden Daniels, I thought he's good. He's Lamar Jackson, but the way I see it is he's a lesser Lamar Jackson. I thought Lamar was better coming out. I thought Lamar was quicker. I thought Lamar had a better arm. And I think Jayden Daniels might have a little bit more oomph, a little bit more power behind his throws than Lamar did coming out. But that being said, Jayden Daniels has been a straight baller. And you can't fight the production that he was able to put up. PFF gave him the highest graded out of all the quarterbacks, 94.7. But this guy has been being a high-level player for 5 years. Yet again, another 5-year starter, 3 years at ASU, where he was more of like a running back, more true runner, and then 2 at LSU. So LSU, he's a senior, 6'4", 210. But yet again, similar to Lamar Jackson, very lanky. I doubt that he's 210, unless he really is 6'4". Like he's a tall dude. But that's the thing that gets me nervous. He reminds me of Bryce Young with just his muscle density. Like he seems like he's very light in the arms, where when you talk about someone getting hit by an NFL player, Jayden Daniels might get broken in half is my opinion. So that's my feeling with Jayden Daniels, though, is very light, but very, very athletic. 3,811 passing yards, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. 1,134 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns, 6th big-time throw rate, 7th adjusted completion percentage. So big thrower. And 99.2 PFF grade on deep passes. He's lights out. Like, when he throws it deep, that was what he was doing. He was bombing it deep to Malik Neighbors. But what I did see, and also I guess I didn't finish my thought inside of this little scouting report, so I got to go back and fix that. But it felt overall, though, there was a lot of ups and downs with his game. And I think that's, even though that the dude could just like put up these insane numbers, he had Malik Neighbors, he had Brian Thomas Jr., and I thought that they helped him out a lot. Now, a lot of these other players had good players around him, right? We had Michael Penix Jr., we had Penix having a Roma Dunze, right? There was other players around these guys. But to me, Jayden Daniels, he didn't wow me as what I expected. And it might be because I watch a lot of Justin Fields. And I see Justin Fields, I see Lamar Jackson. Jayden Daniels, to me, is not that level of runner that a Fields is or a Jackson is. I think he's a grade below that. And I felt like Lamar had more swivel to him. And I think Jayden, though, he's not as elusive as those guys. He's fast, but he's not Justin Fields fast. He's quick, but he's not Lamar Jackson quick. That's where, when I was watching him, I didn't necessarily fall in love with him to be like, this dude is a top 10 pick. And that's where he's projected to go. He's projected to go 3rd overall. He's projected to go 8th. He's projected to go super, super high. I didn't see that type of a player. I didn't see him as an elite prospect. I saw him as a good player. Don't get me wrong. But when people are saying he's a top player or like one of the best, like the number 5 person overall player overall, I just didn't really see it, right? I thought that he has a good, he can throw it decently and he can kind of check through some of his reads pretty decently, but I came away unenthusiastic. He's still my QB4. I still have him highly rated, but I just didn't think that he was that good of a prospect overall. But yeah, unapologetic truth saying Daniels is a pocket, a good pocket passer. I do agree. And even though he's kind of labeled as a runner, I think and thank you for bringing that up, because I think overall, if you're comparing like him to Lamar Jackson was more of a true runner. And Jayden Daniels was a true runner at ASU. But at LSU, he was trying to win from the pocket. He was trying to run the offense. I just didn't come away, like when he threw it, it didn't have that zip that I see NFL quarterbacks throw with. So I came away unenthused. I got to watch more games, though, because I'm curious why people have him so high inside of that. So that's my takeaway on Jayden Daniels. I wanted to love it, but came away going, this guy's good. This guy's solid. QB4 overall, but okay. So let's go to the next player. So let's go to the consensus QB2, because this is where I think it's different. When you look at QB2, Drake Maye, someone who is kind of seen as an afterthought. And us Bears fans, I know when Broski was on, we were saying, all right, well, we have a number 3, we have another number 10 quarterback out of North Carolina. He's a sophomore, 6'4", 230. It's like, is this Mitch Trubisky? But he's bigger, he's faster, and I have met QB2, and he's projected to go in the second, with the second pick overall. And with Drake Maye, I thought he was solid, but I see a lot of people putting the elite tag on him. I graded him as a round 1 type of a quarterback because to me, he reminds me of Justin Herbert. And when Justin Herbert was coming out, these guys have like the same issues and the same profile as each other. And you might say, well, Justin Herbert, he's really freaking good. I'd take Justin Herbert. And that's why Drake Maye is rated so high. Drake Maye is yet again another person that has all the tools. He's got the arm. He's got actually some very good athleticism. He can go through. He can make checks at the line. Like he knows how to play the quarterback position. But he takes a lot of risks. 9 interceptions, 24 touchdowns, 3,608 passing yards. That's not super impressive by any stretch of the imagination. And when you look back at what Justin Herbert did at Oregon, there's a lot of similarities where I remember watching Herbert going, why did he make that throw? That's a dumb throw. Why would he do that? And the reason why people like Drake Maye is they say, like, this is one of the quarterbacks that people flag as the best is yet to come. And when you watch like a highlight film of this guy, he looks good. He makes these really great plays. But to me, I get a little nervous and it feels weird. I get excited about the lower guys, but these higher ones, I wasn't as enthusiastic about this. And Unapologetic Truth saying, yeah, not as high on Maye. So yeah. And yeah, here we go, Ryan. Yeah, he compares Maye to Herbert. They are the same player. Like, they are the exact same player. But this is the same piece, right? It's like how Caleb Williams is just like Patrick Mahomes and Drake Maye is just like Justin Herbert, where I think too many people are going to look at this and go, well, if they are just like that, they're going to be just like that at the next level. The answer is no. They need coaching. They need a team around them. They need infrastructure. They need good things to go their way. They need injury. They need to have injury, health. Like, they need to feel good. So I think that's the big thing with Drake Maye. I thought he was, yet again, I'm talking negative about him because he's very inconsistent, throws a handful of interceptions, and kind of has some happy feet in the pocket, right? What's the good? He's got the physicals. Another comp that people give is like a Big Ben, where he's more athletic than a Big Ben, but he's just got this like presence in the pocket. He can kind of understand what's going to happen pre-play and make some pretty smart decisions. I think Drake Maye is a good prospect. And I think that if the Bears wanted someone that was more of that traditional pocket pass, like traditional in the pocket, but he's got the athleticism to produce outside of it, Drake Maye could be that guy for them. And if they wanted to get him, you could trade with Washington at 2, have Washington get their guy at Caleb Williams. And if Drake Maye's the Bears guy, boom, they can get that. But if Drake Maye was their guy and they went elsewhere, then you get Marvin Harrison Jr. and you just say, this is what we planned on doing the whole time, right? But that's my opinion on Drake Maye. I thought that he was a good player, good pocket awareness, just solid player that has upside. And I think that's a key part in a lot of these. And also a lot of these players as well, when I'm watching them, a lot of them have similar issues to a Justin Fields, where they're not throwing it immediately on their first read. It's taking them a little bit to kind of recognize who's open and then pass it. That's just what a lot of inexperienced quarterbacks do. So that's something that was also another big takeaway for me when watching these players. So let's go to the last person. We all know who he is. I'm actually not going to even talk about him too much, just because I think that we hear so much about Caleb Williams. We already know the stuff about Caleb Williams. So that's why I wanted to bring it up, because Caleb Williams might be our guy. So Caleb Williams, what you need to know about him: USC's quarterback, junior, 6'1", 215, the strength, his otherworldly arm talent. And for anybody that is like a Caleb Williams hater out there, you have to admit, the dude has incredible arm talent. And I've said this before. The only 2 quarterbacks that I've seen with the amount of arm talent that Caleb Williams has is Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, where he can just literally flick it side of his hip and just goes 50 yards, 60 yards on a dime. It's incredible. QB1, he's the top pick, right? Patrick Mahomes, he was the 19th or 18th highest graded quarterback according to PFF. But something I put playing in rhythm, because I think Caleb, he can play in the pocket. He can play in a system, but sometimes it's the playing in a rhythm. What you want to see out of a top prospect is when you're just truly just methodically dicing it up and doing stuff like that. Caleb Williams produces more outside of the pass, outside of the pocket. And one thing too was when I watched his 2022 film, it was night and day. Like 2023 was good. 3,647 yards, 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He had the 5th most deep passing yards. But when I put on the 2022 film, it was like, this guy, I'm like, take him number 1, right? Watching the 2022 film was just insane. Like, he just took over the entire game. I forgot which game it was exactly, but it was just mind-blowing to see someone operate like that. And that's also one of his big criticisms. People say, listen, Caleb Williams, He was great in 2022, was the Heisman, and then how did he answer back? And that's where some of the concerns come in. There's concerns about his personality. Is he too moody? How does he deal with adversity? That's all stuff we're going to be hearing throughout this draft process. And also, too, very quarterback-friendly system. So when we talk about like a Bo Nix, Caleb Williams in a similar system, running a lot of RPOs, running a lot of first reads. But I will say this. When you watch college film, everyone has the easy throws. Like watching college film, when I first watched college film, I remember seeing it going, this is what quarterbacks do? This is the easiest thing I've ever seen. You literally just watch the guy go by and you just throw him. Or you go like, okay, I'm going to look left on purpose, look right, throw. Like college offenses are easy. That's why they call some of them pro-style offenses, because they're more complex. And that's what some quarterbacks end up running. A lot of these quarterbacks coming out, not so much. But Caleb Williams, the last little piece that I do want to talk about is, or two pieces, he does keep his eyes downfield. We talked about that with Bo Nix. He does a very good job at that as well. He keeps his eyes downfield just like a Patrick Mahomes, where when Patrick, and I think the big difference, and I said I wasn't going to compare Justin Fields with Caleb Williams, but I'm going to do this because it makes sense. When Justin senses pressure, a lot of it he turns into a runner. Why? Because he's faster than everyone else on the field. So he can turn into a runner and just freaking outrun everybody and go crazy. And then, sometimes he will pull back and throw. What Caleb Williams does, though, is he kind of keeps the ball up like he's ready to throw and tries to keep his eyes downfield as much as possible. That is a big difference between the two, because Caleb is looking to throw and he makes these crazy arm angles in order to make these throws. Fields has done that a couple times. Caleb does it more consistently. Also, too, he's looking for the big play. That's why a lot of people comp him to Patrick Mahomes. Another good comp is in Aaron Rodgers, where Aaron Rodgers early on in his career would see a slant and ignore it and try and get the bigger play. So those are some of the cons that are out there with Caleb Williams. But man, I feel like I was just crapping on all the top quarterbacks, but I swear they're talented. I swear they're good. But they're good players, though, as a whole. That's something that I really do enjoy watching these players. And I think when you look at this quarterback class, it's talented. And I think that's something that Ryan Poles needs to do. Ryan Poles needs to just go and I said this last show or 2 shows ago, where Ryan Poles doesn't know what he wants at quarterback. He still has to look through everybody and figure out what he wants at this position, and also talk to Shane Waldron and say, what does our quarterback look like? What do we want at the quarterback position? What do we want them to do? Because if we can trade back and get our quarterback, right, or get a backup and develop a backup or whatever we decide, there's a lot of great options that the Bears have out there. But let me know, who is your favorite quarterback that's out there? It doesn't have to be who you would take with number one, right? Like, are you a big Bo Nix fan? Are you a big JJ McCarthy fan? Let me know down below. Red Baron grabbing his popcorn, watching this. Also, Truth saying, I'm not as high on Caleb either. He's good, but not, I agree. And actually, that reminded me, Truth, you remind me of a lot of these things. That's why I love having you on this show. Because I wanted to show just, these are kind of my rankings. I had Caleb Williams as an elite prospect. I didn't want to call it blue chip. This is not blue chip. I just think that he's a next tier up. And I kind of flag elite as like a top 10 talent. Top 10 talent. I think Caleb Williams is incredible. I downgraded Drake Maye as a round 1 prospect, like I mentioned. And I have my round 1 prospects. I have Drake Maye, Bo Nix, and Jayden Daniels. Like I said, I'm a little lower on Jayden Daniels, lower on Drake Maye, higher on Bo Nix. But then late day 1, early day 2, I have Michael Penix Jr., which a lot of people kind of have there. And as a day 2 prospect, I have JJ McCarthy. So that's my rankings of just kind of where I kind of see where people are at. And I do the tiered big board approach because that's the way NFL people do it. They don't just go QB1, QB2, QB3, because it helps illustrate that, listen, I don't think Jayden Daniels sucks. I just think that he's at the same tier as this other group of quarterbacks, with that. So that's why I do kind of the tiered approach with it. But let me just kind of go through some of these comments, and then we can wrap things up. Unapologetic Truth saying, Caleb, 2-6 against ranked teams, struggled against stiffer defenses. I need to do my own research on that because I heard from another source, and he lost, but then when you look at his stats, he was throwing like 255. I think it was like 255 yards or something. I have to pull that up because I had it written down somewhere, but I need to actually just do the research myself just to kind of get that and be like, all right, I know where these numbers came from with him throwing, because him throwing, he actually was doing pretty well. But also another point that I'll make for Caleb Williams, Patrick Mahomes had losing records at Texas Tech. That's something to consider too, where yet again, when you have a ball of talent, who can coach him? And I think that's where the coaching comes in. Because when I do watch Caleb Williams, I go, this is a guy that needs wide receivers, a line, a good coach, and you give him a year or two, and he'll be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. If you don't do that, I think he would flame out. So I do think he's he needs a good team around him, I think, in order for him to truly kind of hit that next level, is my opinion. Ryan saying, if there was a Joe Burrow at number 1, I would be okay, but Caleb is not Burrow and plays horrible versus top 25 teams. So kind of echoing the same stuff that Unapologetic Truth is saying. Oregon and Notre Dame game showed me all you need to know. I actually did watch the Notre Dame game, and that was one of them where I was like, yeah. And then I put on the 2022 tape, and I was like, holy crap, that's good stuff. Yeah, I need to check out, and then thank you. I do need to check out Pratt and Milton. Those are the two people, because I'm going through everything for the Senior Bowl right now, so I'm trying to get my list together for our future shows. And yeah, Pratt and Milton are two really good people. But Sports Chicago Style saying, from that board, the value is trading back and taking Nix. Like, yeah, when you look at the value, in my opinion, I think that there's just a lot of good first-round talent. I think that there's first-round talent, then there's the later talent as well, with like a Michael Penix Jr., late day 1, early day 2. That's just my opinion. I need to grind a little bit more tape. Just watched a couple of them up across the board. And then the last but not least, Bears Junkie saying Caleb has a nice release. Yeah, I think that's the thing too, is that quick release. Bo Nix has a quick release. Caleb Williams has a quick release. I need to shut up about Bo Nix though. But Caleb Williams though does have, I think that's the big thing too, is he generates so much power and he doesn't have to do much. That's where he's just kind of got that special arm for sure. So we'll see. We'll see what the Bears end up doing. I'm just glad that we were able to kind of talk about this and just kind of discuss who's out there. Because like I said, even though that I'm actually kind of down on some of the top prospects, this is still a very deep group, because normally you only get like 3. Normally you only get a couple. But there's 6 people that a lot of NFL media have as first-round talent. So with that, make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube. Rate the show 5 stars. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's